this could be a make or break moment for some Republican presidential hopefuls. One of them is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator Paul, thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be with you.
So you're in the bubble, but you are going to be here. A lot of tonight's debate is going to be focused on national security, issues where you really have a lot of strong disagreements with the other 8 Republicans on stage. How do you hope to get your message out tonight to really distinguish yourself?
Well, I think there's an important debate, not only in our party, but in the country, about whether or not regime change makes us safer. So, for example, toppling Assad in Syria, would we be safer or less safe? I think actually if you were to topple Assad 2 years ago, or even now, that probably allows ISIS to grow stronger. Same way with Gaddafi. When Clinton, Rubio, Bush, most of them wanted to topple Gaddafi in Libya, I think it actually created chaos. ISIS now pledges allegiance, a third of Libya pledges allegiance to ISIS. So I think there really should be a debate over whether or not we're better off with regime change or without regime change.
Another issue where you disagree with some of the other competitors on the stage has to do with surveillance and the national security state here at home. Right now there's a big discussion about how Tashfeen Malik, the female terrorist from San Bernardino, even though she applied for fiancé visa and went through at least 3 background checks, nobody detected things that she had written on social media.
Right.
Now these were private messages and she was writing under a pseudonym. How much ability do you think the U.S. government should have to go into the social media accounts of non-citizens?
Well, you know, if it's public record, I don't think there should be hardly any limits to public record. If you want to work as an intern in my office, we look at your Twitter account before you come in because we don't want someone who's saying outlandish stuff that would be a bad representation for me.
What about the private messages that person sends?
Well, you know, if you want to look at something that you don't have access to that's not part of public record, then you have to get a warrant. But people need to realize that a warrant is not proof. All you have to do is have suspicion in a person's name. My main objection with the Christies and the Rubios is that they want to just get everybody's information without listing a person's name, and without suspicion, or without a judge's warrant. I'm all for getting the records of potential terrorists. In fact, if I'm the judge and you ask me, can we look at the Boston bombers records maybe 2 months beforehand? Yes, I'm a yes. I'm all for individualized searches. I'm just not for general sweeping dragnet.
What about a general sweeping dragnet when it comes to people who are not American citizens who are applying to come into this country?
Outside the country, there really are no constitutional protections, and a lot of people misconceive, even on immigration and other subjects. If you're not in our country, there are no constitutional protections for you.
So you don't have a problem with the idea that Facebook should offer, if the government asks for it, access to all the private accounts of anybody who's applying to come into the U.S.?
Well, I can't tell private companies what to do, and they have businesses worldwide. And I think if Facebook said, oh, we're going to give all of our private information to the U.S. government all the time, people would quit using Facebook. So it's not good for their business model, or Apple or any other country, just to say we're going to give the government. In fact, it's really hurt them in recent times. They've lost a lot of international business because everybody now thinks that the government is spying through Facebook all of the time. So they have to be very careful, and I wouldn't force Facebook to do it, but I think that public open social media forums, sure, we should look at them.
Since the San Bernardino terrorism, you and I have talked about the fact that you have a proposal to stop the flow of individuals from 33 different countries, most of them Muslim, not all of them, majority Muslim countries. But of course, Syed Farouk, the San Bernardino terrorist, the main one, he was an American citizen born in this country, right. So it wouldn't have stopped him.
Yeah, but I think if we look at most of the terrorist attacks since 9/11, everybody seems to be using our legal immigration system. You know, we had 20 hijackers, 19 that actually committed 9/11 and 1 that we caught, but they all came here using the legal system. And we didn't do a very good job of vetting them then. So if someone comes here and they says they want to go to college, we should find out if they're still in college. We have a system that is overwhelmed. There's 11 million people said to be illegal in our country. 40% of them came legally and then overstayed their visa. But we have no idea who they are or where they are. So we have a system that is so broken that I don't think we can stop any terrorism. So we do have to fix the system. But what I would do is I think the system of global entry, which is like our frequent flyer system, I think it could be applied almost universally around the world. Then people would get a background check. So I'm not against everybody coming. There are Egyptian businessmen, there are Iraqi businessmen, there are Yemen businessmen and women who can and should be able to come to our country, but we need to do a background check, know who they are, and then they would come back pretty easily. So I'm not for saying let's not allow anybody to come and visit, but I am for saying we do have to have more scrutiny to figure out who might be coming to attack us.
You're going to have to be better tonight when that buzzer goes off. It wasn't applying to you now, so it's okay. Let me ask you about the fact that Saudi Arabia just announced this coalition with 34 other Muslim countries to take on ISIS. As you know, in a recent CNN poll, a majority of the American people support the idea of U.S. combat troops fighting ISIS. And I know you are opposed to it, but what if that majority Muslim country coalition asked for U.S. help, saying we are doing the brunt of this, but we do need what you are able to provide in no other country? Would you then support it?
I think the boots on the ground need to be Arab boots on the ground. Particularly, they need to be Sunni Muslim boots on the ground. And frankly, Saudi Arabia hasn't been very helpful in this instance. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United States poured millions of tons of weapons into the Syrian civil war, all on the side of ISIS and Al-Qaeda and radical Islam. And I don't think they've been helpful. So Saudi Arabia does need to step up and do more. But frankly, Saudi Arabia has done things for decades now that have actually made it much worse. They have funded radical Islam throughout the world. And Saudi Arabia, you know, the attackers came from Saudi Arabia.
Most of them did on 9/11.
Yeah, the missing 28 pages from the 9/11 report that I've tried to get publicized. I just finished reading Senator Graham's book, Bob Graham, the former senator from Florida. And it's a book that everybody should read because it lists like 20 different failures to stopping the 9/11 hijackers, some of which include immigration. But in those failures, I don't think we've fixed any of them because we spent $1 trillion on surveillance of Americans, but we haven't done anything to fix our immigration system. That's where a lot of the problem came on 9/11.
Senator Rand Paul, good luck this evening. We'll be watching.
Thank you.